My name's Priscilla. I think mostly all of you.
Hi, Priscilla.
Hi. So if y'all don't know me, I've been in real estate since 2019. I'm a realtor as well as a licensed loan officer now. And I came to White Line Realty at 2021, and it's been amazing. As y'all know, we all get to hang out with Colin all the time. But I started with Absolute Mortgage and Lending in June of this year, and they are amazing. Like they're just this is our branch manager, Zach,
I guess that's sweet.
and he doesn't like get out often, so he's here to do the training. And then we have a lot of our team is here. Like that's what I love about Absolute is that we're a team and we support each other. And so we have like Bianca's back there. She's a LO. And then we have Tyler as an LO. We have Rose as our senior LO. And then we have Reggie back there. So everybody comes and we all like support each other. And then just the process, like your deals are going to go through. We're going to make it happen. Like, so if y'all just want to use this as an LO, Elizabeth actually just closed the deal with me. And you guys. And it was super smooth. So if y'all want to ask her about the experience, you can. But I'll hand it over to Zach.
Hi guys, how are you guys? Thank you guys for having us out today. Kind of just wanted to come out and kind of bring everybody back to the basics. So everybody knows the basics of when you go and sell yourself and when you introduce yourself to a client, but kind of diving just a little bit further in and getting into the DTI process. When you interview your clients, what are some things you guys ask your clients right off the bat?
How much they make.
How much they make? Okay.
Credit.
How's your credit?
How much do you have saved?
How much do you have saved? Some of the simple things.
How
How much
much debt do you have?
debt are you guys looking for? A 3-bed, 2-bed? Simple realtor
Yeah.
questions, right? Well, the biggest thing to help you guys kind of take your business just a little bit further this way, when you guys turn it over to us as a lender, we kind of have a summary of what's going on with the deal already. So calculated DTI is going to help you guys basically guide your buyer to programs and kind of enhancing on what you're going to tell us as a lender. This way we know what programs we're going to guide them to as far as DPA, special financing, bank statement loans, whatever it might be. We'll have a complete summary when the deal comes in. So stepping into the debt to income portion, when you guys step into it, I know you mentioned asking income. The biggest thing when asking income is there's so many types of different income that you guys can come across as a borrower. You have your direct pay, you have your commission pay, bonuses, social security, pensions, disability income. All of those are going to tie into how you're going to calculate your income. When you guys are asking these questions, you're asking about their debts. So you're asking about car payments. You're asking about student loans, personal loans, installments. You're asking about child support. Some of the things you guys aren't going to know or see is going to be collections. So that's going to be something that we'll end up seeing as a lender. But generally, we'll put all of this together right here to calculate your DTI. What we have is we have a front end and we have a back end DTI. Your front end DTI is going to consist of this portion right here. It's going to be your mortgage, principal, interest, property taxes, homeowners insurance, and HOA fees if they're accounted for. With that portion, you're going to put it onto the back end as your altogether debt is going to be your front end plus all of the debts that we just listed. When going across your income, I know y'all mentioned, and I'm going to get to it on the next slide, asking how much they make. Another thing is asking their job history. I think one of you guys said how long you guys have been on the job. Did you,
We're industry.
that or the industry? So kind of coming on to the next one is going into probing your client. So probing your client is going to be the biggest thing for you guys to basically pull out all the information of what's needed. Basically, you're establishing your relationship. Half the time when you guys get your clientele, you guys are establishing the relationship either through someone you know directly or through referral. Establishing your relationship with your client is what's going to get them to trust you guys. Asking a lot of information that we ask kind of seems like you guys are stepping over the boundaries, or sometimes maybe the client feels like, hey, why am I telling you this? You know, but establishing that relationship kind of takes us even further back to the basics is kind of what I want to touch base on is selling yourselves. Selling yourselves is going to be the biggest thing because that's how you're going to establish your trust and establish your relationship. If you're able to establish your trust, these clients will open up to you and they trust in you guys to get them from point A to point B. Point A starting with buying or the buying process, and point B is getting the keys to their house. So when you're establishing that relationship, you're building that trust. This way you can ask them personal questions about their finances, and all you're doing is setting them up for success to get through the process. So basically ask, is this closed? I can see through it. Asking questions that help establish the initial grounds for their financing needs. So that's going to be their credit score. That's going to be one of the questions you guys will initially start off with is, well, not the very first question. You know, you're going to ask them about their basic needs and necessities, but their credit score is going to be a starting founder for kind of knowing on our side of the job how we're going to take them into programs. But asking about their credit score, asking about their down payment, asking about how much they make, asking questions about their current job status. So time of employment's a big one. For instance, for you guys are commission-based. So if you guys are commission-based, we have to at least have an 18-month average on commission. For you guys, it's a little different. We're going to ask for 2 years tax returns, but say for your typical car salesman, they work at a dealership, they get paid pay stubs, they're commission-based. We can do 18 months of commission. I know most lenders, what have you guys heard? 2 years? Yeah. We can do 18 months of commission. The reason why I say 18 months is we can do a 24-month established average on 18 months of commission, as long as we don't see like a drastic decline, like they made 50,000 this year, and then now they're, 18 months in and they made 10 grand. That's going to be a hard way for us to sell it, but we can do 18 months commission. So asking about the time of employment will help. It'll also help on your overtime and your bonus. It basically falls in line with the same thing as we want about 18 months of employment on those types. If they're salary or hourly, we're going to go based off whatever's showing up on their pay stub, and it makes it pretty simple. But these questions will help navigate and kind of give you guys an idea. I know as realtors, you guys always want to sell a house. We always want to close a loan, but at the same time point, you guys don't want to, I'm not going to say waste time, because no client ever wasted time. It's not a no, it's just, a delayed yes. But if someone just switched from an hourly job or a salary job to commission based, and they've been there a month, you're kind of dead in the water on selling them a house. So at least, from the get-go is, hey, let's establish a plan, still get us with a lender, because you never know what their credit situation looks like, but we can establish their credit or take a look at their credit and establish a game plan if needed. Next is to ask how they pay. We went over, but the biggest thing that I know some realtors, even some lenders forget to think about is ask if they have a 401k. Asking if they have a 401k is night or day, because I know I've had a bunch of clients come to us and they're trying to buy a house and they're wanting to go down payment assistance because the agent or a friend told them, hey, go down payment assistance. If they have a 401k, you can do a hardship loan or do a withdrawal with no penalty and purchase a home. And you can repay yourself, and depending on how the structure 401k is, sometimes they can pay themselves back with interest. So like I said, it kind of comes back to establishing a relationship. If you're taking care of them and pointing them into directions and kind of probing them for these questions, it helps them out. Instead of having to get hit with a 7.5% interest rate, they can get a 6% or a 5.5% because they have their own funds coming to the table. Going to the DTI, when we ask about debts, I know everybody says, oh yeah, I have about $50,000 in debt. I don't care if you have 50,000, if you have 100,000. I just care about the minimum payments. So we worry about the minimum payments on credit cards. Just say, hey, what's a general idea of your minimum payments on credit cards? Throw some numbers out. Is it $25? Is it $50? Then add that up. Child support, if it's applicable, just if they tell you, hey, I pay child support, bring it out. It's stuff we find out and we need to know because child support's major. We obviously need to make sure they're up to date. But find out how they pay their child support. Is it weekly? Is it monthly? This way we know we can add that into our debts. Card payments, and then student loans. Student loans, just ask them once you get a general idea. We only count 0.5% towards student loans. So, if they have $10,000, we're only going to count a $50 payment against them. VA is a little different. It's a little bit more of a complex formula, but we'll take 5% of their total balance and then we'll divide it by 12, and that's the amount. Any questions on anything on that portion?
The 401k, when they take out of the 401k and they have to pay it back, is that hurting their DTI?
No, so we do not count repayments on 401ks against them. So they can withdraw their 401k and they'll be completely fine. If they already have 401k loans on their pay stub, we do not count those against them either, because it's secured asset loans, so they're borrowing against their own money and paying themselves back. Everybody knows don't go get a loan while doing that. That's a whole different story, going to get a personal loan. But as far as 401ks, it doesn't affect them. Teachers, does anybody here deal with a lot of teachers? No. Okay, so on teachers, I know a lot of people ask about teacher retirement. So teacher retirement, we cannot touch. TRS or TRS, the teacher retirement system. We can't touch those, so we can't add that or utilize that for assets. The TRS is required that they either have to retire or separate from employment for them to be able to access that. So just so you guys are on the safe side and you guys don't go and tell your client, hey, if you have a retirement plan, we can utilize those funds. You just don't want to put yourself in the bad thing, because it'll come back to establishing your relationship. And then that might deter the relationship because now they're relying on their retirement funds. Real quick, actually, before I switch over, on 401k, ask them about it if they have it, but then also ask them to check with their employer to see if they can withdraw. This way we know what's going on and we have a way for, moving forward. Touching base again on the DTI, just on a bigger overview. So as I mentioned,
You press it down here over there.
this one, okay,
One more, right below it. Up, right there. I should have got it.
it's just one more thing. I'm sure it says pension from it. So as we mentioned, debt to income ratio. This is going to calculate your overall debt. It's going to be a house payment, car payment, credit card bills, student loans, and other expenses. We only care about stuff that reports to the credit report. Has anybody seen or talked to someone that's done, I think you do it through Credit Karma, adding your utility bill to your credit report? Have you guys heard about that? You can add your utility bills, your cell phone bills, CPS, SAWs. People do it to show payment history to help increase their credit score. If they tell you that, we don't pull that against them or count that against them when we see it on their credit report.
Do you count it for them?
No, we don't count it for, well, we count it for the credit increase because that's what a lot of people, bless you. That's what a lot of people do it for, is to increase their credit score. This way, they might have a thin credit profile or they're trying to reestablish credit. So they'll add their cell phone bill and all that on there to help increase their credit score throughout time. It just reports to the credit bureaus. I think Experian will allow you to do it. And right off the bat, when you sign up, I think it gives you like a 10 or 15 point increase. So that's like a quick way to tell your clients for credit bump. Let's go to the Experian app and input that information. Kind of going into income. And this whole class is, like I said, it's kind of like a back to the basics. It's kind of giving you guys an insight on what we do to help get your clients to getting them improved, but also, you'll know how everything's lining up. We already talked about full-time and part-time job. On part-time employment, we have to have 2 years work history on that. If they work a full-time job and a part-time job, we have to have 2 years of employment history together of them working both jobs to be able to count their income. Alimony, child support, retirement income. On those, quick sheet, like I said, another thing of what we do is we're able to gross those incomes up by 15%. As long as they're not tax deductible. And then I can't see the one behind
Pension?
it. Huh? Pension, yes. Is that what it says? Oh, I have disability income. So disability income would be like your Social Security disability income or VA disability income. And I'm going to go over the ratio on each program. This way you guys can kind of see how the disability income will actually help veterans. Anybody deal with a lot of vets in here? VA
Somewhat. Yeah.
Somewhat. I know from what I've heard, I think you guys deal with buyers, but also kind of investment heavy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, investment heavy. So I'm going to cover the DTI class, but I'm also going to kind of chime into some of our investor stuff that will kind of broaden y'all's probably clientele with some of the products that we have. I know I'm kind of touching base on kind of like a first time home buyer thing, but as far as when we go into the investment side, I'll touch base on some of those and it'll kind of be some different type of products. DTI allowed per program. So I put the bare minimums on here. This way you guys know when you guys are vetting a client, you guys are vetting on the bare minimum. These are the bare minimum ratios. We can go higher, but the only reason why I put these is if you have someone within a 580 to a 600 credit score on an FHA, we probably aren't going to push the max DTI program. I'm sorry, the max DTI allowed, just because we have a lower credit profile, probably less money, late pays. So the underwriter isn't going to like the file as much to make you use 56 and 55% of your income. So FHA is 31 over 43%. VA, there is no max debt to income ratio. Conventional is 28 over 41. USDA is 31 over 43. And jumbo loans is 31 over 45. We're allowed to do manual underwrites on FHA, VA, and USDA. Conventional programs won't allow us to do a manual underwrite. Credit score on FHA is down to 580 with 3.5% down to 500 with 10% down. On VA, there is no minimum credit score. It's all based off residual income. Conventional is 620 plus, and then USDA there is no minimum income, or I'm sorry, minimum credit score on that one, but a 640 is preferred to make the deal a little bit easier and going through underwriting. And then 680 plus on jumbo. Now for down payment assistance, we do have down payment assistance for FHA to 620. We do have programs that go down to 580, but like I said, it's a per file basis that we have to take a look at. VA, yes, it varies on product. Compared to conventional, yes, it varies on product. USDA, yes, and then jumbo products, no. So, do we have any questions on this portion right here? No. Okay. So kind of covering some of the basics is knowing your products. So to know your products helps you with bringing out your clientele and kind of knowing how you're going to be able to take them when you're vetting them. So we have our max loan amounts. We have the max loan amounts per units. The minimum down payments, it looks like my screen cut off. This one is, let's see. This is our conventional column. I don't know why it cut off on the bottom. No. So on the conventional side, minimum down payment as low as 3% down. There is no funding fee. There is monthly private mortgage insurance if you put less than 20% down. Now, you have the option to buy out mortgage insurance. Right now in a buyer's market, it's not a bad option to try to negotiate in to do a one-time PMI buyout. Depending on how their credit profile looks, if they're strong credit, we can get a low PMI a percentage to buy out, and you can negotiate that with your concessions. As I mentioned before, 620 for the credit score. And then this might be a big portion for you guys if you guys want to take notes on the concessions. If you guys know 90% less on LTV, I'm sorry, 90% or more on LTV, only 3% concessions. 75 to 90%, 6% concessions. 75% plus is 9% concessions. And then investment is 2%. Kind of circling in on the 2%, that's going on your traditional conventional route. Kind of giving you guys some information and ammo for your investors is DSCR. Have you guys closed DSCR loans before? Yes. So nod. Any DSCR? Anybody? Do y'all know what about DSCR?
Yeah.
Yeah, to the extent. So DSCR, depending on the lender and the broker that you guys go with, some will cap it at 2%. We have products that will go to 6%. So that helps. Right now, I'm doing some 6% concessions, takes us a long way. 6% concessions allows us to buy the rate down, covers all the fees. I mean, they're showing up with just their down payment out of pocket. It helps when you have those close products too, to be able to negotiate at 6% for the rate buy down. Because with today's market and the high rates, being able to close the DSCR product makes it a little bit harder because of the rental comps. Trying to match in with the price of the price of the house plus the interest rate, they're having a hard time with rental comps coming in. So we're able to buy down, 2%, depending on credit profile and the LTV. 2% will take us a long way, probably dropping them. Right now, we're at like 6.25 for DSCR rates, somewhere around there. Occupancy type going to conventional, owner occupied, second, or investment. Coming right here to FHA, we have, as I mentioned, 3.5% down for 580 or 10% down from 579 or 579.
So the first one is
the conventional column. Yeah, this one's conventional. This one's FHA. I apologize. I don't know why it cut off. This one's going to be VA. And then this one will be our jumbo product right here. You do have your 1.75% funding fee. And then you have your annual mortgage insurance that's charged to it for the life of the loan. Only way that will cancel is if you do, what is it, Tyler? 11% down?
10%?
10% down. 10% down. Mortgage insurance will cancel after 11 years.
the first one's not a VA? Or the first one's-
This first one right here?
Yeah.
No, this one is conventional.
Okay. Because I
Yeah.
thought that was like the max amount of loan for the VA.
That is the max loan amount. I think actually it just raised to 803 and some change. That'll take into effect January.
Oh, wow.
So the maximum performing limit just went up, but as of currently standing at 766. But that is the maximum performing loan amount per the county or per the state, depending on where you're at. Certain places will go up higher. High cost areas like New York, California, somewhere right there. Up to 6% towards the sales price of closing cost, owner occupied, and then 3 years on foreclosure to be able to qualify afterwards. Coming to VA. So that's the max loan amount, but there is no max purchase price on VA. So you can exceed the purchase price. If you have two vets entitlements, husband and wife, you can go past that with no money down. You can bind their entitlements. But if you have one vet, depending on where you are in the county, it'll be up to the 766 for them to fully cover it. Anything past that, you'll put 25% down of the difference. Minimum down payment $0. First time use on a funding fee if they aren't disabled, 2.3%. And then 3.6% if it's subsequent use. No monthly mortgage insurance. What did I do?
Made it bigger.
You zoomed in.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, now we can read it.
Oh, now you can read it. Is that better? I'm sorry. I should have done that before then. Okay. So no, I'm sorry, what was that? No minimum credit score. And then 4% based off the property's value. So 4% concessions. Now,
How are y'all looking at it with the buyer's concession and like if they put the seller's concession, the buyer's concession in there?
are you talking about like the buyer's commission?
Yeah, the buyer's commission.
Yeah,
I've seen them put it as the seller's concession. But it's like now lenders are getting mad because it's like, or saying like, you can't do that.
So it hasn't came across to us, but I know basically that we're taking it from the concessions when it comes through. So basically if you get 4% concessions and you're charging 3%, then we're taking it from the total concessions. Now the trick to it with VA is you can get 4% max, but you can itemize it in the contract to get 2% towards rate buy down. You can technically get,
In addition to the 4%?
in addition to the 4%. So 4% is what's set by guides, but on the backside is you can get 2% additional concessions on VA to basically go to a max of 6%. It just has to be itemized in the contract, 2% towards rate buy down. This way we can apply it. Most of the time when we're getting 6%, we need the money for rate buy down, or we take that 2% for the rate buy down and 4% of that is either to pay the commission, pay the rest of closing costs, pay off debts. VA is the only loan that allows you to utilize your seller's concession to pay off debts. And we can do that to help them qualify for more. Or if the buyer's worried about debts and like, oh, how can I afford this? I got a $5,000 installment loan that's causing me, $400 a month. Well, we get the concessions, we pay that off, and now they're easy breezy going to their house.
What about for like conventional? Because it's like, say you want to get your client 3% concessions, but then you also want to get 3%. How would you do that?
As far as doing the 3%, like less than 10% down?
Yeah, like say they have less than 10% down, so you max out, you can only give out 3% concessions.
So that's as far as on the government side, we're taking it from the concessions. On the conventional side, I believe we're able to add it to the side and they pay that additionally to their down payment and still get their 3% concessions. It's obviously going to increase their cash to close. I haven't seen too many come in that way.
I know they talked about, a lot of realtors kind of put it out there before the law had changed, but now that we're going into transactions, we're paying it out of the broker, like, you know, the listing agent stuff. I haven't seen too many agents like.
So it's getting paid from the listing agent still.
Yeah, it's still getting paid from the listing.
And it itemizes the same way. I mean, it's just that, you know, we put it over this way, we put it in the other section. So this way the buyer covers the commission.
So that'd kind of just be like a separate negotiation if you want.
Kind of like a lien or a debt to be paid. It goes set into the other section and that's how it's paid. And then the concessions just get put to the bottom line side.
Or just explaining it to the listing, like, it's gonna, like, the bottom line for your seller is gonna come out the same.
Yeah.
But for the purpose of the loan, like, we need it structured in this way. You know what I mean? But.
Yeah, not too much, not too bad. And then last is our jumbo section. So our jumbo on just kind of in-house minimums is, or maximum is 3 million, 15% down, minimum credit score is 680. And that kind of follows the same line with the concessions, being that we're going to have so much money into it. We're going to have 6% on 75 to 85% LTV, and then we'll have 9% on 75%. Primary, secondary, and investment. Anybody ever closed the jumbo loan or been there yet? Okay.
For the bankruptcy, so if they file Chapter 7, then after 2 years, they're able to apply for it?
Correct. Yes. And for the most part, that covers all that portion. I guess seller concessions is something to kind of go into on another basis. I mean, I know we have questions as far as the commissions. Is that something that you guys are seeing? I guess maybe on the investment side, because we're kind of heavy investor savvy. Is that something that you guys are seeing, is that the listing side is asking the buyer to pay the commission at even past wholesale?
I mean, for the wholesale, yeah, they ask, you know, add your fee.
Add your fee. Okay. So yeah, wholesale enacts a little differently. Yeah. I mean, when you're doing your whole, are you going through like traditional financing, or you going through like hard money?
I guess you're not using so much traditional.
What do you guys use for hard money?
Different people.
Different people?
Y'all do hard money?
We do hard money.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm actually, that'll be my last slide because it's pretty quick and that kind of goes to Q&A. Yeah, there you go. Well, that's what I thought too, because when I was coming in, I was like, okay, I'll cover the basis of the DTI. This way, if you guys, because I know you guys do, you know, a few here and there as far as buyers, but then if you guys are heavy and investor savvy, then all the other products that we have are the ones that you guys really, really care about. And then I can work on setting up a class, because that's kind of like my realm. Like, I know a DTI, that's my job, but my realm is to know all the other stuff, all the cool fun stuff.
So you're saying that the seller concessions are, for some reason, seller concessions have been negotiated on some of the deals that I've had recently, and I'm like, why? I've been pushing back, but then they'll be like, no, we really need seller concessions. So they up the price in order to, you know, so what are you saying here? The seller concessions, you use those for what?
So with like
okay.
Yeah, so the buyer comes to the table with less money and closing costs. So like if they need the closing costs covered and you're not willing to, like as a listing agent or your sellers are not willing to give that, they'll up the price. As long as it appraises for that price, we're not gonna have an issue, right? But just so that your client still comes out with the net.
Okay, now I know.
Yeah. So right now, buyer's market, I mean, every time I have a buyer or I have a realtor, I mean, I tell them, hey, this is what I need. They go look at the property, how long it's been listed, and then they go ask for it. 9 times out of 10, seller's going to pay title policy. We completely remove that for the amount of percentage of that's going for the concessions. Most, what was your buyer? FHA, VA?
Conventional.
Conventional? Okay, so conventional, like I said, is going to be based off the LTV. On conventional, 3% is not a lot when they only put 5% down. A lot of our conventional buyers, they're about that 5% mark. We do hit those few that have the 10 to 20 that allow us to get to the 6%. But 3% concessions isn't a lot. We will make it work, but by the time you take out escrows, prepaids, the credit reports, appraisals, all that stuff, 3% dwindles down really quickly. The FHA and
But you can also on top of the 3%, you can ask for the survey.
Yes.
And title.
And
survey and title separate.
Separate.
Yeah. So we always move those out, and then the 3% will cover everything else. So we have our origination charge was $16.95. We don't have an origination charge on VA. So our concessions go a little bit further. But then it will cover, like I said, the credit report, the title, the settlement fees, everything like that. Just the loan right now with insurance cost is about 1% of the sales price with how insurance rates are on a new purchase. So we're looking at 1% going towards insurance for the year policy. And then we collect our escrows on the taxes, the 3 months prepaids into the escrow account. But yeah, as far as it, we can increase sales price. Now we can increase after appraisal comes in too. So if we get the appraisal, we have equity, they only negotiate and ask for 5,000. We haven't hit a 3% yet. Appraisal came in at 275. I'm sorry. Yeah, it came in at 275 and our contract was at 270. We can ask for that other $5,000 and then you just do an amendment. And then however your seller wants to do it, sometimes they're very particular. Like, oh, hey, I'm paying 3% on another 5,000. That's up to negotiations there. But we can increase after contract, do a contract addendum, and get the additional money.
So as a listing agent, I use Independence Title. Like if you go, they have a seller calculator there, like the seller net calculator, and then you just put it in. So like right now, if they're not asking me about commissions because they haven't heard it on the news, like I'll just tell them like, hey, if we're gonna list at this price, if we sell at this price, this is how much we're gonna make. And I'll just send them the seller net sheet with both commissions on there. Like, so you don't have to go through all that explaining like, oh, you don't have to pay the buyer's seller concessions or whatever. Like, I just do it that way. And most of the time they're like, all right, or can we just hire? Like, and you already have the commissions in there. So that's another thing. And then, so if you're like increasing all that stuff, you can just send them a new net sheet to see like, hey, we had a issue with, we were changing one of our loans from an FHA to conventional, and just to let them know, like, we're going to change it because now we can't ask for the 6%. We can only ask for 3%, but we're going to increase the price or whatever. But you as a seller, you're still going to come out with the same. Let me show you the net sheet, and then you'll see the changes in there. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm.
And maybe also kind of explain why, like if you want to ask for concessions, why they raise the price to get those concessions. Because you have a lot of new people.
Yeah, I had that too. We had one at 120, like we're gonna offer 120, and we're like, but my buyers need 7% concession. So we're gonna offer you 127, and you're gonna see that it comes out the same. So literally I showed them both net sheets and they see, oh, okay, it's the same. Like that's why we're offering you more money. It's not because you're gonna get more money, it's because we need it.
Yeah.
And so they're like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Any other questions on this?
Yeah, do y'all have are there any laws coming down the pipelines that might raise the amount of concessions? Do you guys know of?
I have no idea on that. I think those have been set for the longest time. I mean, with the way everything's going, we might see some kind of change if people start to enforce that the buyer pay commission. So far in our market, thankfully it hasn't been, and I think it's because it's a buyer's market. But I feel if we have a shift coming up to a seller's market when they get a little bit more greedy and they want a little bit more money in their pocket, that might come along. And if that comes along, then I could see, I can't predict, and I'm not the one that controls the housing, but there could be something that changes. Just right now we're in a heavy buyer's market, and that's what's being pushed. Sellers kind of have to pay, and buyers are going to buy their house. Right now we're running 6% rates, 6.5% rates with the increases, and pretty high house prices compared to what we saw 5, 6, 7 years ago. So it's kind of, only so much can be done. but I would be okay with more concessions. We can do a lot more with more money. On concessions too, if you guys ever over negotiate concessions, if you guys get the full 6% and we don't utilize it all, doesn't mean your borrower loses out on the money. We do a principal reduction on the loan. So at the end, if we have $2,000 left over, $1,000 left over, we'll do a principal reduction to their balance. It's not like the money goes away. You don't use
it right to the principal.
Mm-hmm. It's not a, use it all or lose it all type thing. Like you use it and then we'll reduce the rest.
You use it or use it.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be used one way or another. We'll make sure the dollars get utilized. I mean, we'll even go down to buying down the rate as much as we can. New construction, like sometimes we'll like collect full taxes. Like we'll qualify a primary residence on 80% taxes. But if we have leftover money, I'll collect over the 100% mark at the 100% mark. This way, when their escrow refund comes around, they'll get a little check back as well. These are all of our loan products. So that kind of covers all the DTI portion. Does anybody have questions on anything? I know concessions was pretty big. We covered that. But anything as far as calculating the DTI?
Yeah, could you go over how the student loans work again? I was fuzzy on that. So is it like you can have, because it said 0.5 something for the student loans. So is that like you can have 50% of student loans or debt?
No. So 0.5 or 5% basically. I think I forgot.
Okay.
Yeah, 0.5%. So yeah, 0.5%. Yeah. So basically if you have $10,000 in student loan debt, usually it used to be 1%, now it's down to 0.5%. So we only count 50% or $50 against their debts in total. Unless
it's deferred.
Yeah,
right?
unless if they have a payment generated on their credit report, then we go based off the payments on the credit report. If not, we'll resort to 0.5% rule.
So don't pay your student loans.
And defer.
Oh, no. Pay your student loans if you gotta pay them. If they're deferred, yeah, because if you don't pay them, then your credit gets jacked up, and then we gotta move over to setting you guys up on to reset with the Department of Education or what's the other one? Yeah, so it reports on the credit report, it's MOED. But basically we have to get you on a repayment plan and it takes about 6 months, 6 main payments, and then they'll reset your status on it, but you don't get to recover from the ding. You just get the.
You're saying if you have them in a deferred payment,
Yeah.
like you're not paying it.
Yeah, we'll calculate 0.5% on it. On VA, we take 5% of your balance and then we'll divide it by 12.
So you're saying you take 0.5% of whatever you owe towards your debt to income. So it's like most of your student loans are not counting against your debt to income rate.
So student loans will count. So like I said, if you have $10,000 in student loans reported and they're all deferred, then we're going to resort to a 0.5% cost. So basically we'll count that $50 towards your debt to income ratio. So we'll add it to house payments 2,000, car payments 500. So you'll be at 2,550 with the $50 in there total debts.
Because I just was getting tripped up over like what's the 0.5%?
Yeah. No, 0.5% of the total, or 0.5% of the total balance on those, and then VA is 5% of the total amount divided by 12, and it usually comes up to a little bit smaller amount. 100%. As long as they're not in bad standing, you just can't be in bad standing on your student loans. That's it.
I'm only saying because I'm trying to buy a house
Mhm.
and my student loans are deferred and Lennar wouldn't let me purchase it.
Why would they say?
They told me that I have to contact them and get them off deferred. It can't show that it's deferred.
Oh my God.
Is that their in-house rule? Like that could be Lennar's rule.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you're allowed to have the deferred zero payment. It just can't be in negative standing, showing like a past due balance or late.
No.
Yeah. So you
He said that it has to be off deferred. It can't say deferred on it.
No, but it is deferred. You can, so even if it's deferred, you could just count it up.
Because half the time, everybody that comes out of college or, student loans are usually deferred for years.
That's the only thing that help you.
Yeah, no, that should be able to be bypassed pretty easy. I mean, it's a simple guideline. They just got to go and look at it. I mean, deferments, like 95% of student loans. I paid mine off because it was like $3,000. It was the one that was accruing interest. And I was like, it was taking forever. And I was like, no, I'll just pay it off. And we called it a day. But yeah, no, you should reach back out to them and have them take a look at the guidelines if that was the only issue that was holding you up. Unless there was just something else and that's what they were blaming it on. Because
No, I got the paperwork and it was just that.
okay, then yeah, just ask them, take a look. It should be good to go. It'll just be, what were you doing? Conventional?
Yeah.
Conventional? Yeah, you should be good to go. They'll count 0.5% of the balance against it. Any other questions on that stuff? I wanted to touch base on some of our
Thank you.
loan programs that will probably entice you guys a little bit more as far as like the investor friendly stuff. So DSCR is one of the big ones that we're on. Hard money and fix and flip loans. We do those. I mean, if there's a loan out there, we'll do commercial lending. We'll do ground up construction. So we'll do ground up construction from roads to utilities all the way to the roof and the vents, all that stuff. So we have all of that. Not in-house. We have broker partners. The DSCR will handle on the in-house side. But as far as like the hard money and the fix and flip and construction loans, we have options and channels to broker that out, and commercial purchases. So if you guys have people that want to develop commercial land, or they want to buy a retail shopping center or a gas station or a tire shop, we have somebody to help with that. I know on investors and fix and flips, investors and wholesalers, you guys come across a lot of those pieces of land or vacant land. You come across the hotels or the condotels, stuff like that. You guys come across the warehouses, stuff that you guys want to offload, or the RV parks. We'll do all of that. So that'll kind of open up a channel to have like a one-stop shop with myself, with Priscilla, with anybody here. Bianca is our Spanish speaker. I don't speak Spanish. I look Spanish, but I don't speak it. So I'm sorry, I can't help you there. But we'd be able to take care of all those aspects of everything.
You'll do transactional lending or like bridge loans?
We do bridge loans. Yeah.
Okay.
Bridge loans get a little tricky, and they're a little harder here in Texas because of the Texas 506 cash out laws. Because a bridge loan is technically classified as a cash out, because they're lending your equity on the front side to be able to move it over to buy a purchase of another one, while still claiming that first house as a primary residence. They get a little tricky. Can they be done? Yes, but it's just it's a tad bit harder to do so. It's not easy to do on a VA, for sure, but you can do it on like a conventional purchase. I had someone try to do it on the VA, had another lender that was telling them yes and screaming in their face. They're like, that they could do it. VA, you're on occupancy status. So, so going back to the cash out law, you can't do a cash out on a VA in Texas, but conventional, we could do a bridge loan on. HELoans, HELOCs, we do those too, for people that you guys have that are investors that want to do a loan on their house. HELoans, the stronger option. This way, they're an investor. They probably did a refi back then, have a great interest rate, and they don't want to have an interest rate. Well, let's do a HELoan. They can pull the equity from their house and they can utilize that to go and buy, invest, purchase properties, do renovations, anything like that.
So which one would be better for
the HELoan? Well, if they're in a good interest rate standpoint.
Yeah.
So if they're in a good interest rate standpoint, they have that 2.5%. They don't want to do the cash out refinance. The HELoan's better. The HELOC.
What does the HELoan allow you to do then?
Just to pull your equity. I'd have a second lien. The HELOC.
Does it keep it at the same interest rate?
No,
Yeah.
it gives you a new one, but your original one will stay with the same interest rate.
Until you pull the money. Is that
No. So you'll have a first lien, which is the current mortgage they would have on the house, and then you'll have a second lien following behind it. The second lien would be the HELoan.
Mhm.
That'll allow you to pull the equity from your house and not touch your interest rate. So if they're, one of the lucky ones at the 2.5% or 3%, that rate will stay the same. Nothing will be touched, and then we'll do a HELoan. So it's a one-time drawn loan. Everything's deposited into the bank account at once. The HELOC,
and that one time is what you're getting interest rate on.
yeah, they'll give you money.
Does HELOC allow you to pull it?
HELOC allows you to pull, and the way it works, it kind of works as a credit card. So the way it works is on its credit card, it's interest bearing for the set term. There's 10, 15-year terms. It's interest bearing from that, and then it'll convert over to a fixed rate mortgage after that term ends. HELOCs are good and they're bad depending on how the person manages the money. The reason why they're bad is they'll charge it all up. They're paying interest. They're not paying anything down on it, but you also have to keep a minimum draw depending on the loan amount. Sometimes it's about 30,000. Sometimes it's 50,000 that they have to have drawn all at once. It just depends on which bank we take it to. So we're kind of going to that. We're direct lenders, but we also have the option to broker. And that's why we're able to offer so many products. So we have about.
So what are the requirements for that?
Which one?
The HELoan.
The HELoan, 20% equity in the property. So at minimum. So you have to keep 20% of the property, 80%. So if they owe 200,000 and their property's worth 500,000, they can pull up to 400,000. That would leave 20% in the property, and then minus fees, everything like that. Credit score, I mean, it's kind of same general requirements as purchasing a house. We're going to take a look at the debt to income ratio, and then the credit scores are going to determine rate and how much they're able to pull, like the LTV. If they're like a 660 or 680, we might have some LTV cutbacks to where they might say, hey, you know, we can only pull up to 70% LTV instead of 80
And that's on your primary.
on primary. Yes.
Okay. So nothing on,
No, on investments, we'd have to do a cash out refi, or we could do a DSCR refi, DSCR cash out refi, which would be good for investors, realtors, 1099 people that tax returns look pretty bad. And the DSCR, all we worry about is the rental ratio 1-to-1 on a cash out. Now would be limited to 75% LTV on an investment cash out. On multi-unit, would be limited to 70% on a DSCR cash out. So it's just a 5% LTV difference. And then obviously the DSCR ratio and the credit score are going to be some other factors that may cut back our LTV on what they can cash out on.
On the HE loan, what are the years on that? That you're paying back?
15 or 20-year term. Yeah, 15 or 20-year term. The difference on the 15 and 20 was like a quarter point to go less on the 15-year side. So about a quarter point difference. But like I said, there's some factors that went into it. Their LTV and their credit score. So it just varied.
what about, yeah, so I was gonna ask, so what about like interest? I mean, how high, or like right now, what kind of interest are they?
As of today, I don't know. As of today, I know the one I closed a month ago, I closed them at 7.875. But as of today, being that we've had so many interest rate hits over like the last 2 weeks on going up, we probably like 8.5%. Yeah. So it's 8.5% on that amount of money. And then it just depends on what they use it for. HELOCs are about a quarter point better. But like I said, it's interest bearing. So it's interest only for that amount of time. So if you know you're going to pull the money on the HELOC, flip a property, and be able to repay it right away, then you're good. If you're bad at financial management and you charge it and just keep charging it up like a credit card debt, then you're paying interest on that entire amount. Yeah. And the interest portion isn't a lot. So if you say you had $100,000 line, you're paying 8% on that $100,000, you know, it's $8,000 divided by 12. That'll be your interest portion. It's not going to be, can't do the math in my head. About $900 a month, I would say, if I did that right. So it's about $900 a month. But if you add in principal to help pay it down, you know, you're $1,500 to start paying your balance down. So it works just like a credit card. You know, you have your interest portion to where the credit card company charges you $30 every month. And then anything you pay past that, you know, they give you like $2 towards principal, $27 towards interest. But that's kind of how that one would work.
What does HELON stand for?
Home equity
Loan?
yeah, home equity loan. Yeah, I mean, thinking for a second. Yeah, I was like, HELON, what does it stand for? And then HELOC, home equity line of credit. So yeah, both of those.
Is there another kind of line? Personal?
Well, I mean, personal loan,
Is it just HELOC and HELOan are the two ways?
And cash out refi.
cash out refi, and then if they own a business, we can do SBA loans too. Yeah, I mean, that's a whole different,
Anything for investment on the investment, just
like
refi?
investment for something like that.
like it'd be like a cash out refi, you said, so it's not the only thing that.
Second home, you can do HELOan. Yeah, second home, but investment, no. If you have a directed straight as investment, no.
Yeah, because it's gonna be like on any kind of like LLC or something like that.
Yeah, and then obviously we would ask for tax returns if there's multiple homes on it. So then we're gonna take a look at tax returns and reporting, you know, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah,
White
I get it.
Street.
I get.
The cash out
People that ask me
refi, it
that.
makes it a whole new loan. Like if you have an
Yes.
investment property, then if you had a lower interest rate and you want to do cash out refi, then it's going to get you a higher.
Yeah, so I mean, if they're down at the 3-4%, now they can weigh in the factor. Bless you. They can weigh in the factor that, you know, I mean, I've done it before, and that's how I do mine, is I do them through DSCR cash outs. They just have to weigh out the factor, like, hey, if I pull this money and I move it over here, you know, am I going to 1-to-1 ratio, or am I going to cash flow? This way I can, you know, pull out $50,000 from my house and go buy another house and kind of get coached through that. You know, higher interest rate doesn't always hurt an investor. I mean, I know I have this speech with investors, realtors, any 1099 employee. They're always freaked out by interest rate. We always freaked out by interest rate. I mean, we don't want to spend a lot of money, but we have a tax write-off now that we can move our interest over to our taxes and write that portion off.
What about, so like if investors have several properties, like putting them in like one loan, is it like one jumbo loan to put all the investment properties and be able to cash out that way too?
We can do a portfolio loan. It goes more onto the private lending side, so we can do portfolio loans. Basically, if one, they have it that way, or they say they're a developer and they're developing, a little, what is it, street. I've seen some of them downtown. They're developing, 5-6 duplexes right there, and they want to do a full portfolio loan on the entire thing. We'll do a portfolio loan. They'll have one payment. We'll take into consideration the appraisals, the LTV, the credit score, and we'll put it all together and, run it that way, being that it's on the same block. Now, if you have a bunch of homes across town, we won't do it that way. But if it's all kind of like on the same street, same subdivision, we can do a portfolio loan on that. Portfolio lending is a whole different bread. It's be heavy for investors. Portfolio lending is going to be bigger on like for the developers. Developers usually want portfolio loans. This way they can develop. I've got one right now that he's developing, and he's going to do the build to rent type style home. So he's going to build a bunch of homes on the street, and then he's going to turn them to rentals, and we're going to qualify them based off of the rental on the post-construction appraisal. So we'll get the appraisal on the front side, see how much the cost is on the build, see what the values are going to be with the build and the land, and then see what the rents are going to be. This way we qualify the loan that way.
What's the foreign national and ITI in?
So foreign national is going to be for, say, a citizen from Mexico or a citizen from Europe. They have a visa. We're going to have to check the status of that visa because there's different statuses, and that's going to base their pricing and the eligibility for the loan. And that's just basically them being able to buy a residence here as an investment, not as a primary purchase. So they'll basically have something to come to and from, but also buy an investment property here. Those get a little more complex. Like I said, it comes down to the visa status. It's not really so much verifying income, but we're not going to verify income from another country. But we are going to verify their assets. So they do have to have like an address here, being that they have a visa to come here, and they're going to have a bank account with seasoned funds for 60 days. We can't see any deposits, any money, no gift funds. Concessions are very limited on the deal. Like everything's coming from the foreign national.
How high are concessions?
0.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So very limited.
Yeah, very limited. It's a very, very limited deal. And they're a little bit more complex. I don't see so many foreign nationals. We do see a lot of I-10. Bianca has been getting a handful of I-10. It seems, are you all on the Shift Talk page? Everybody on Shift Talk San Antonio?
The Facebook page?
Yeah.
Oh.
Everybody asks every day. Like,
What?
The Shift Talk.
Oh, yeah.
Do you see everybody ask like every single day for I-10 lender? Like if they just went on there and like typed in I-10, you'd probably see like 30 posts for like the last week. I-10, they're...
So you're commenting on it every day?
I'm always commenting. Yeah, you'll see me. I think I got a little top contributor badge, like finally, because I actually got, intervened with it. I know she called me out and says I don't get out too much. I get out when I need to. I got all them to go out and talk with everybody else. I got 4 small kids at home. So like when I'm done with work and I work late, I go home. But if I have to go out, I'll go out. I'm here. I-10. So we, as us, we do 10% down. That's what our starting point is. I know you'll see some lenders out there say we can go down as little as 3.5% down. You're getting really, really, really to the tough zone on I-10. I-10 is for people who have status of resident status coming over. The 3.5% down, you're having to hit like everything on the nail head, as far as trade lines, as far as job history, as far as tax returns, as far as how long they've been here. There's a lot of things that need to be hit, and you're asking for probably perfect credit. 10% down. I'm sorry. Yeah, 10% down. We're going down to Bianca 680, 660.
Oh, yeah. 660 is kind of the where they need to start.
660 is where we start. And the reason why we say as a lender is where to start is because sometimes we can go lower on products, but that just means that interest rate goes higher. Same thing on down payment. We'll do some bank statement loans down to 10% down, but we're going to give them a 10.5% interest rate. Just throwing a number out there, but it's high like that. But I-10, follows kind of FHA guidelines as far as concessions, so we can get high concessions on it. It's just, you have to have everything lined up with rental history, trade lines on the credit report, how long the trade lines have been opened. Are they all in the borrower's name? Are they authorized users? We don't count authorized users as a trade line. So that's when they get a little complex.
I would just say have them apply, and then we can figure out which path or how to advise them and guide them for future. Because some of them just started their credit and they won't even have credit scores at all. So that's something, they have no credit scores, it might cause them to have to put more money down. So just finding out where their starting point is and then helping them figure out the rest.
And they're going to be Spanish clients, like
Right.
98% of the time.
We had something kind of like that in the group, didn't we? Where we were talking about this? It was like about the I-10s, like there's situations where like investors with I-10s and like trying to figure that out instead of some other thing related to qualifying for a loan.
Yeah, typically the I-10s we use for owner finance deals, but
they're easy to go that way.
and you can't get them through that, but it's strict.
I mean, because a lot of times the I-10, well,
They have
they either have the money or they have cash mattress money, but either they have the money and they don't have like the trade lines and the credit score, or they have the trade lines and the credit score and they don't have the money. So like you're kind of like caught in between. Usually the owner finance ones, I mean, I-10s and stuff like that go owner finance 99% of the time. Doesn't mean we can't refinance them out down the road once they establish, but that's, kind of the way it goes. It's like one or the other. It's very rarely do we get like the silver platter with both of them covered and able to convert one of those deals. They're a little tougher.
So you said that you broker out hard money?
Yes.
Gotcha.
And we have 4 different hard money lenders, and also on our hard money lenders, we'll go to actually we just put 5 because we have another ground up construction. With our company, like I said, we are a direct lender. So we'll do all the FHAs, VAs, conventionals, USDAs in-house, bank statement, P&L, and DSCR in-house. I don't know if I said DSCR already. And then a lot of those other programs we can broker out. And then additionally, our owner has basically people that will go private lending for any kind of different complex projects. They'll take a look at it and we'll lend on stuff like that too. We haven't said no to anything. I mean, I've had everything come our way. It's whether or not the buyer wants to move forward based off the terms, but we haven't said no to anything.
What are y'all lending at? Like loan to value?
So it depends. That's like the big factors in it. What are you talking about? You talking about like on commercial?
Just residential is a flip, say like your fix and flip program.
So fix and flip, it'll vary, first time investor or not. Usually it's 85% ARV. I'm sorry, 85% ARV. So you're buying to use easy numbers, let's use 100,000. We'll let 85, so bring 50 to the table.
So it's not loan like based off the ARV.
I'm sorry, it's the purchase price, not the ARV. So if
you'll lend 85%.
85%, yeah.
So I was like,
So now,
dang, that's better. I mean, if we could,
don't lend on construction costs.
We'll lend on the construction cost. So basically, if you're purchasing for 100 and you have a rehab budget of, trying to use easy numbers. So if you're purchasing for 90 and you have a rehab budget for 100, we'll basically lend 15% of that. So the ARV comes out to 150 on the backside.
For repairs, we all 100%.
Yes, 100% on repairs. And then for the ground up and like the construction and building, kind of will vary. Usually we're about 25% on that one, just because we're at a higher risk, especially because we're taking the project from the ground all the way to the top side.
How many points are you offering?
On the hard money, anywhere from 2.5 to 3. And then on the other one, anywhere from the large projects, anywhere from 3 to 4.
You said 25% down on the new construction?
So it just depends.
Or do you use the land as leverage?
We use land as leverage.
Okay.
Yeah. So if they own the lot free and clear, we'll take that lot of consideration and use that towards the down payment. We have We have a few that'll do that. They just take a look at the portfolio. They'll ask for their building or previous building records. So have they done any previous builds? Have they done fix and flips? Like what's their portfolio look like? What's their net worth? And then we'll take a look at that, and then the land will be utilized, and then it'll just kind of vary on the loan to cost on that side. So we'll end up to 85% loan to cost if everything hits on those triggers. If not, sometimes they'll cut us back to about 25% loan to cost, or could even go lower depending on the profile. But lots of cool stuff past the DTI. I could tell some of y'all got bored on the DTI. Y'all got quiet. Y'all kind of just sat there, and then the investor friendly stuff came out and everybody had questions. So now I know, I mean, I can pull together a class in the future for you guys on our hard money and our development stuff, because that's kind of the cool stuff to get into. Development's a big thing. If you guys have, you know, people that buy lots, or even if you guys go find lots, you take them to an investor and be like, hey, I got someone that can lend you the money to build it up.
Like a simple sheet that just breaks down all the documents you need. And like requirement stuff that we can give to our clients, be like, hey, here's the stuff that they need so that we can get them prepared and easy. Because usually that's the biggest heartache, is just getting
What do I need?
all the documents in and stuff like that.
A lot of it, like,
here's what we need, simplify it.
the biggest thing is like the LLC docs, their history, and if they have plans and specs. You know, we want to see the plans and specs, and then we want to see the breakdown of their costs. Yeah. I know Reggie got introduced, but Reggie is our marketing director.
Yeah.
So what I'll do is, if you guys want to get with him and get a business card or exchange some information, or if Priscilla's got it, I will get with him, get him all the information. He'll put a pretty flyer together. He'll put y'all's faces on it. This way y'all can hand y'all's clientele. And, you know, that'll be a whole different product stream that you guys. And then
referral fee for loans?
Huh?
Referral fee for loans?
Oh, I didn't hear that.
The hard money?
$50.
Yeah, no, I didn't hear that one.
You can have a cookie.
We take care of our realtors, but I didn't hear that one. But yeah, as far as it, we'll get with Reggie and, you know, get you guys some stuff. And then I will work on putting a different class together for you guys on that part.
Oh yeah, 10%.
Hey, Ben, please don't give me soup.
That'll be forward.
You just took your compliance training.
Yeah.
Oh, that's why it's so frustrating.
We just released the,
Is hard money lending under the same?
we're under the same bracket,
Okay.
yeah. And any type of lending is under the same classified bracket. Now, what happens on the outside happens on the outside. Everybody, I'm recording, right? Yeah, so I mean, what happens on the outside happens on the outside. I mean, there's people that do it. I've heard of companies that do it, but obviously we got all guidelines. I mean, we're also direct bank, and you know, we take care of you guys with a referral of a client. It's better for us to play it safe, you know, or you know, whatever it might be, but you know. So yeah,
Done deal.
there you go.
There'll be another class.
It's not worth losing your life.
Yeah, absolutely. Because that's a one-time pay opposed to abundance. So yeah,
Lifetime deals.
I just said I have 4 kids, right? So you know, I have 4 kiddos.
Well, I had somebody offer like a referral fee. Like, I don't know, like, is that legal or no?
Technically, anything over $50. Yeah.
That's what I thought. That's what I told them. They're like, no.
Unless if like, I mean, unless if it's built into the contract. So if it's built into the contract, like as an assignment fee, then that's different.
Oh, yeah.
Or like as a realtor, if you credit some of your commission towards the borrower, or the buyer, like if you do it as like a closing cost rebate or a lease buyout, like that's the legal way. It has to be in the contract. But if it's something like, hey, here's an envelope, you know, thank you, then that's
sketch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you can do the thank you card with the $50 in it. I mean,
Yeah, I do that. I do an Amazon gift card, but I do like $25.
there you go. So you'll be good there. But yeah, for the most part, that covers everything. Any other questions?
Thank you.